All right, welcome back to the program. Millions of people are carrying financial anxiety into 2023 as a result of the last few years. A new year really means new resolutions, new goals. And a lot of people will say that goals are very personal and are determined by your life, the stage at which you're in life, also ambitions, your commitments, and of course, your personal finances. People set financial goals to achieve a variety of goals, such as perhaps purchasing a home or other assets, buying a car, for instance, saving for a holiday, or even retiring early, among others. However, as the saying goes, a goal without a plan is just a pipe dream. So, what are some tips and tricks for setting goals and sticking to them? I would say that really the principles is that we'll start really by defining what your goals are, then you'll be better able to develop a plan of action to achieving them. Checking in on your finances and plans is equally crucial to ensure that you are moving in the right direction. My guest is joining me right now, Tosin Olaseinde, who is the founder, Money Africa. Hello, Tosin. Welcome to the program. Hey, you girl. Good to see you. Happy New Year.
Hi, Nancy. Happy New Year. How you doing?
I'm great. I'm great. I hope you're doing well too.
I'm doing well, thank you.
Now let's get started. Tossing my intro. You know, a lot of people are coming into the new year with so much anxiety. 2022 was a year of hyperinflation in many countries, inflation that they've never seen before. In Ghana, I mentioned 54% in Ghana. The economic situation in Ghana is not even looking good at all. We've also seen inflation in countries that had inflation like 2%, 1%, having it in like 10%, 7, they've never seen it before. How do you think that, what kind of mindset really, because I think it really starts with a mindset. What kind of mindset do you think that we should bring into 2023 in Nigeria so that you're able to set your financial goals? But I also need to put a caveat that this is a country that 133 million people are multidimensionally poor.
I mean, it's very true, Nancy. Yet last year was very tough. I mean, if you're looking at it, quite a challenging year in terms of the numbers. We're seeing inflation, people losing their jobs, people getting caught in salaries as well. So going into the new year, I think for everyone, one thing is to know that for a lot of the things, they were outside of your control. So we're telling our community members, focus on the things that are within your control. So, for instance, you can't change the rate of the naira to the dollar, you can't change the inflation rate. These things are outside of your control. But those that are within your control, that is what you should focus on. And that's the mindset we want to go into in 2023.
Okay, what can one really do this year? What can one really do differently this year so that you can win your money game? Yes, so that you can win really with your money, or you can win with your finances.
All right. So, I mean, this year, number one, like we always say, mindset is very key. We want to ensure that we're in a good frame of mind. It's a new year, something to start something new. Look at what we've done in the past, like a review, a personal review. What are the expenses we made in the past? What are the ways our income came in the past? We want to thoroughly review it. Did we take everything on the table? Did we leave anything on the table? Did we make the most of those expenses? So I think for everyone, a good way to start the year is to evaluate what happened in the previous year and just really write it down. Where did my money go? How did I spend it? Did it give me joy? What are those expenses that actually I derived benefit from? Now, my source of income, was it from my salary? Did I get any form of investment income? What are the investments I made that did not turn out right? Just basically reviewing the last year is very, very important. Now, once we've done the review, then we're now thinking about next steps. Where are the opportunities? What can we do better? Now, for a lot of people, they're always thinking about how to start something new, how to go in a different path. But you'll be surprised that optimizing might even be the best thing that could ever happen to them, right? Looking at what is currently on their table and saying, did I make the most of it, right? What can I do differently with what I currently have? When we fully maximize that, then we want to start entering new waters and trying to see what else is out there and what can we try differently. So let's start the year with a honest evaluation. I love to say this. You can lie to everybody, but you cannot lie to yourself. Money is very personal. So you have to do that evaluation.
Yeah. Within really your money game is a personal journey. But Tosin, let me take you back to the question which I asked earlier, because even while I was ruminating over this topic and how I'm going to handle this interview, how our conversation will go, one thing that really pricks my mind was that, oh, Nancy, is this conversation really necessary? Especially in a country where you have 133 million people that are multidimensionally poor. A lot a lot of people are also monetarily poor that live on less than $1.90 a day. So how would you be talking to those people that they can achieve financial security or they can achieve their financial goals in 2023? How can someone that is living on about 1,000 naira a day achieve financial freedom? So I was like, do I really need to talk about this?
Fantastic. And I really love that question. Now, there are two ways for us to look at it. Number one, with that, we can either increase our income, or number two, we can cut down our expenses. For a lot of people that are already poor, to be honest, they are doing the best with what they have. It's less about the expenses, it's more about the income now. So we are asking ourselves, how can I learn a new skill? Let me give you an example, Nancy. There's a lady that helps us on the house. Whenever I have any of those professional outings, somebody comes to the house to sometimes do my makeup, and I see that she's picking interest in these things, right? So learning a new skill, just by her gaining that new skill and marketing it well, will definitely increase her income. So you start asking yourself, what new skill can I gain that I'll be able to charge more for? As an entrepreneur, if you look at within your current workforce, there are some people that will resign from the job and it's nothing, you wouldn't lose sleep. And there are some people that will resign that you know that you will lose sleep because it's hard to replace them. So you're looking for skills that are in demand, skills that if I drop my CV today, what would happen to my employer? Those are the skills that we are thinking about. We're looking for how to build skills that we can then monetize. Now, the thing about building skills is that it doesn't happen overnight. It takes a while, right? And the reason why I'm having this conversation is talking about financial goals. So this could also fall under those kind of goals, like a short-term goal, a medium-term goal, or a long-term goal. So you're asking yourself, for me to gain that next skill, how much time will I require and what will go into it? So like I made that example of the lady that is, helping us that now wants to start learning how to do makeup. What is the duration of time that to take her? How will she market and how will she find new people to start offering that service? So skilling up, right, is what we are actually thinking of. And it does not have to require you going to the four corners of an institution, right? There are other informal ways where people learn about new skills and how to market them.
Tosin, so what exactly are financial goals, really? Let's let's
Right.
also be clear,
All right, great.
yeah, about that.
Let's get into that. So, what is a financial goal? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Tosin. Go ahead.
All right, sorry. So, what is a financial goal? A financial goal basically is me saying that I want to be able to achieve X, Y, and Z. I want to put pen to paper. I want to be able to detail those thoughts. Now, many people have career goals. They are saying to themselves, "Oh, I'm currently, let's say for instance, I'm currently working as an admin person, and in the future, I want to move from admin to sales, or I want my boss's job, or I want to become a manager." People usually have career goals, but not many people have a financial goal. A financial goal is a goal that you want to hit. It's like something towards financial independence when you plan to get there, amongst others. Now, the thing about a financial goal is that it depends from people to people, right? What a 25-year-old is thinking about for a financial goal might differ for a person that is already in their 50s, right? So that goal is very personal. What am I trying to achieve? Where do I see myself in the future in terms of financial resources? And what does that mean to me? So, that primarily is what a financial goal is.
Now, what are is there really a guide? Because I like the points that you really differentiated it, and we'll come to those differences later on. But in as much as we all have different financial goals or different objectives which we want to meet, is there really a general guide to achieving your financial goals?
The general guide is this, that a financial goal is a situation whereas your assets can take care of you. That's like the general guide, meaning that if you were to go out of a job, if you were to quit your job, if you were to fall sick in the future, do you have anything that will look after you while you sleep? And that's primarily what a good financial goal is. So that if you're not actively working again, is there something that can take care of you? And that's why financial goals are usually long term. For a lot of people, they cannot achieve that till like the next 10, 15, or even 20 years. So we're very long term in nature, thinking about those financial goals. So that financial independence at the end of the day is that, should I take some time off? Should I not want to work? Is there something that is taking care of me? Have I built assets that the returns can actually look after me? So, yeah.
I think that's a very fundamental question which every one of us should ask ourselves this year. That in case you get out of work, are you, or what you have built in the past or what you're currently building, will it be able to take you perhaps till you get your next job, or even in the you know, if you're sick or whatever. In fact, I think there's a saying that says you're just there are some sicknesses that will happen, and you are just a step away from poverty. You know that it will just
Yes.
wipe whatever thing you've made. So I think that's a very important question that we should all ask ourselves this year. That what exactly am I doing right now that can make me be financially independent for a while? What if my boss asks me to go, or even the economic situation is not looking good? A lot of people are downsizing or right sizing, or you can even decide to quit. Will you be able to sustain yourself for a while? So I think that is one nugget our viewers should go out, should go with at least today and make that very important for themselves. Um, let's talk about Tosi. Are there other things apart from, okay, you talked about even long-term goals? Are there things that is there a guide, or are there tips, short-term tips that we can?
Yes.
So take us
Yes.
through that.
So there are 10 financial goals I want us to look at in 2023. Number one, we call it write it down. There is
Mm,
so much power in writing. There's research that backs it, that the people that write down their goals, they have a 60% chance more of achieving those goals than those that do not write it down. If you can even put it in images, even better, your chance of actualizing it is much higher. So I'm challenging everybody listening to this to take a pen to paper and go ahead and write it down. Number two, we strongly suggest that you draw up a budget, right? Now, many people do not like budgeting because they see it as an enemy, something like a restriction. But I want you to instead see it as something powerful. You get to sit down in charge of your finances. You're saying, with this little that I have, this is how I want it to go. Right now, money is like Vaseline. If you put it under the sun with no plan, it's going to melt, right? So you have to be very intentional that I'm going to ensure that I put it in the freezer. I'm telling it where to go so that it just does not melt away. Now, number three is that we want to build an emergency fund. What is an emergency fund? An emergency fund is something that I can quickly fall back on should the case anything happens. So let's say somebody falls ill or they lose their job. At least some people will say, oh, we expect you to have 3 months. Some
months to
people will say
six
we expect you
months.
to have 2 months. It depends from people to people. But what we advocate for is that look at what your current living expense is today, then multiply it by three and put it somewhere accessible. So it's not something you put in a stock market or in real estate. It has to be in a bank account, somewhere that you can easily and quickly access it. Now, another goal to look at for in 2023 is actually to start educating yourself about the stock market in the long run. So you're not restricting yourself to just Nigeria. You're looking at both locally and global, and you're educating, you're learning how it works. Another one to also still look at in this year in terms of financial goals are side hustles. Now, this is a very tricky one. Many people keep saying that you don't want to be a jack of all trades and master of none. But we know how the Nigerian market too is. Many people are earning salaries that is not enough to cover their immediate needs. So they might be looking for things to do here and there. So if that's something or if that category you fall under, you can leverage on your existing strength and be able to look for how you could make some income on the side. Tell your friends about it. Tell the people in your church, the people in your mosque. Let them be aware that this is something that you are trying out and you require their support. Now, another one is reading personal finance books. Right now, there are lots of Nigerian authors now writing about money. Go and pick up their book and read it. Another one you can also read is The Psychology of Money. It's a
Yeah.
book by an American author. It's also very, very good. Now, the last but not the least is joining a finance community or accountability. So go and look amongst your friends and ask them, is there anybody that have money as a goal this year, so that you can share knowledge, you can share ideas, you can tell them what you're doing. Just basically somebody to hold you in that journey together, somebody to keep you on track. So these are some of the financial goals you could actually look at in 2023. And don't limit yourself to these ones. There are other ones out there as well that you could also explore.
Yeah. So much to talk about if we want to break each of those goals down, but I will give my viewers the assignment to do that. you know we've given them we've given them at least the general tips. Very
Yeah.
important that you need to build an emergency fund. Very important. Let me take our viewers back. 2020, the whole world went on a lockdown. Majority of us survived on emergency funds that we have built perhaps over the past few months, over the past few years. So even COVID will give you an idea of why you need to build an emergency fund. Also, perhaps in case of even sickness, in case of you're let out of
Yes.
work or something just happens, you need to survive. So I liked the fact that you talked about that. Also, reading personal finance book. How important is this really? Bearing in mind that we are,
Oh, it's important,
yeah,
Nancy. It's so amazing. It changes. See, you can't reach for what you cannot see, right? So even as a business owner myself, just reading those books about how to manage my finances, there are many business people that all they have is their business. But when you start reading this book and they start telling you about the risk that is involved as well, every four business owner in their four out of five business owners do not make it in the first 5 years.
five
So
years, yeah.
imagine you don't have anything in your own name. If
Wow.
anything should happen, that's the end. But so just reading these books enlightens you. You see that you're not alone. We always think that our problem is unique to us. But once you start reading and also start speaking to other people, you start to see that, oh my God, we all actually, those problems are more common than we think they are. So it enlightens you, sharpens your mind, shows you different things. It's always a very good one. And now, what do you have to lose? Let's say you pick up this book and there's really nothing interesting, put it away and pick up another one, right? So it's you really have nothing to lose by investing and reading these books. They are very helpful.
Yeah, it's very helpful because I also tell people sometimes, okay, now you can actually even read on your phones because there are also audio books. It mustn't even be a physical book. And at least take a look at, invest in resources. Watch programs like mine. Tosi, I thought you were going to say that too. And that is why I'm doing a show like this.
Yes,
to,
we built a community for
yeah,
Africans. We want to take
yeah.
Africans towards financial independence. Come and watch our program. Come and join our community, listen to personal finance experts talk about money and
Mm.
how to get there.
Yeah, exactly. One thing I learned late 2022, though I had known about it, but it just got reinforced in me that a closed mouth is a closed destiny. Because you need
Hmm.
sometimes to speak because you don't know, the next person may just have that solution which you're looking for. It may be as little as nothing, but you just sometimes need to speak out. And you need to, like, say,
Yeah.
have a community. These are the kind of problems I'm having right now. Who can really support me? You really do not have anything to lose because a lot of people, share the same challenges or share the same problems. They may have one or two solutions that they can offer you. So thank you for saying that. Now let's take a look at the different age ranges which you mentioned earlier, and I want us to break it down now because in certain financial goals, we should take into cognizance where you are at right now in life. We have different ranges as we have it right now. I think we have the different generations. We have the silent generations, those 1901 to what, but those people now, we are not talking about them. We have the baby boomers, we have the Gen Z, we have the Gen X, we have the Gen Y, Gen Z or iGen. Which other generations do we have? So many of them, you
They
understand,
have the
about six.
alpha, the Gen
Yes,
Alpha.
you know, but you understand what I mean, about six generations now. The iGens, I think
Yeah.
those born between 2001 and 2022, the millennials, the baby boomers, and all of that. What kind of financial goals should this kind of people set? Because if you have someone like in your 20s right
Yeah.
now, your financial goal will be different. You have perhaps more years to plan for
Yes.
your retirement not compared to someone like 45 or 50. Some years ago, I had a man that came
Yes.
to me and he just had like 1 year to retire from the civil service. And he came to me and said, Nancy, I'm going to retire in some months and I don't have anything backup plan. And I was looking at him. You know, I felt so sorry. I was like, what? But you see that a lot of people are in that position too. So
Yeah.
let's break it down.
Fantastic. So now we have age ranges and financial goals. We have three main categories, and the purpose of us having these categories is because of the peculiarity of each of those people. Now, the first one we're looking at are people between the ages of 25 to 45. Now you're like, oh my gosh, that's like 20, people between there's a 20-year gap between the youngest and the higher and the oldest, but there's a reason. In this gap, their primary job is to be able to get into the highest income bracket as possible. Now, it gets really interesting. You'll be surprised. There are many people in their 30s that are already at the peak of their career, and there's no guarantee that they will surpass that level for some reasons that we cannot even explain. So get into that bracket as soon as you can. That is your primary job. From the ages of 25 to 45, you're young, you have vitality, you have time, you're learning skills, you're going up and you're climbing that ladder and you want to get into it as soon as you can. Now, why is this important? Doing so early makes the path to financial freedom shorter. So the more you can earn as early as you can, go ahead and do it. Now, a lot of people will say things like, oh, my 20s are for chilling and then my 40s are for working. We always advocate that if you can put in the work now and get on that ladder as soon as you can, do it. It just means that should you choose to retire earlier than 65, you would be able to. So we strongly advocate going up that ladder, learning that skill, trying to, be so good at what you do that you can get to the top of your career between those ages so that you are closer towards financial freedom. Now, the next category are people between the ages of 45 to 60. Now, it gets really interesting. People between this age group, should they have children? You see that their children are now in secondary school. Some of them, when they are retiring, might still have some children in university, right? So, in this part of the segment, we are now looking at what? Wealth creation, right? We're looking at wealth consolidation. We are consolidating the wealth together. We're putting the pieces together. We're putting the blocks together. We're letting it submerge, right? If you are in this category and you happen to be a middle class, I would even say go ahead and speak to a financial expert. You have about 15 years to consolidate that wealth together. So if you can get an expert to also come on board and guide you, that would be great. So you have one job in this phase is consolidation. And remember, we spoke about children. For those that still have children that might be in secondary school, or because now we see that times are changing, people
Changing,
are
getting
having the
married
children
later.
much later.
Mm-hmm.
So these children might be in university, they might be in secondary school, so that when you are consolidating, you're also putting them into account, right? Towards that time that you're hitting your 60s. Fantastic. Now we have the other category. These are people between the ages of 60 and above. They have one job, and that is passing the wealth to the next generation. Now, there's a research that states that 70% of the people that have wealth do not pass it to the next generation. Imagine you working so hard and now you have your children and they're just not able to be able to keep that money. Somebody tweeted the other time that her father had gotten a house from his own father, right? And he drank it to stupor. He sold the money, he sold the house, gambled, and the children are now struggling with school fees and things like that. What that father has done is he's now going to make the children start from scratch. He was not able to consolidate on the work that his father did and pass it on to his own children. Now, these children are going to have to start from scratch again and start building wealth. And every time you break that process, you are not able to pass generational wealth to the next one. So while you are consolidating, building wealth, don't forget to carry your children along. Start early. They're not too young. By the age of 7, children have started, their mindset about money is getting formed. Don't isolate them in the process, so that when you are passing the money to them, they will be able to pass that baton to the next generation as well. So that's primarily how we're looking at the goals and things like that. And most importantly, I want us to start thinking of joy when we think of money, right? Things have been quite hard. People have gone through really tough times. People have struggled and things like that. But I want us to change how we see it. I want us to see it as freedom, as liberty,
Yeah.
as something that you are attracting, right? I want us to have the conversation more wholesome, in a wholesome manner, and
Yeah.
we start having these talks. Things like life insurance. If you're between the ages of 45 to 60, you should get a life insurance. If anything happens, the children's school fees and things like that is taken care of. But we run away from it because of, religion, mindset. People are afraid. Even talking about wills. My
Yeah.
parents are in
Yeah.
their mid 60s, and the will conversation is still a bit tough. Like, if
Yeah.
anything happens, where would you like to be buried? Oh, they don't want to hear it. They're running away.
Okay, Tosin.
So culture, religion, everything sort of plays a role, and we should just break that stereotype and just have
Thank
those
you.
conversations. Yeah.
Thank you.
Can you hear me, Nancy?
Yes, I can hear you, and thank you very much for this insights this morning, Tosin. You've hit many nerves, and I hope that our viewers can take a few things from what you've said. Thank you very much, Tosin, for joining us. I've been speaking with Tosin Olaseinde, who is the founder, Money Africa, on achieving your financial goals for 2023. I'll see you soon, Tosin. That's it for us today. It's a wrap. I'll see you all again tomorrow. Be the best you can be and be the change that you want to see. I am Nancy Naji. Bye now.